consider the amendments together. The Minister.
Thank you, Mr Deputy Speaker, and I move that the amendments be disagreed to. The government is acting to ensure multinational corporations pay their fair share of tax in Australia, where they earn that income. And we have put forward well-considered legislation that achieves this objective. The opposition say that they like to support these goals, but yet when called upon to support this well-considered legislation that is needed to ensure that multinational corporations pay their share of tax, the opposition chose to play politics and block this critical piece of the government's tax integrity plan last night with the amendments that have now come before the House. Not once between the former Treasurer introducing the Tax Law Amendment Bill 2015 on the 16th of September 2015 and the Senate's decision yesterday did the opposition or crossbench raise with me as Treasurer or the former Treasurer that they had any concern with this piece of legislation. Not once did Labor or the crossbench ask to come and meet with me to discuss this legislation. Instead, after years of work by the OECD, Treasury, the Australian Taxation Office and the government, hundreds of meetings and discussions, consulting with stakeholders and experts, considering all the requirements, consequences and implementation issues, a committee report, Mr Deputy Speaker, from the Senate, which included members Senator Xenophon and Labor Senator Dastyari, which recommended the bill be passed and there was no dissenting report. The Senate, on the run, at the last minute, has sought to dramatically amend this bill and include a raft of peripheral additions. This is a very shabby and irresponsible way to deal with such a serious issue, Mr Deputy Speaker. This is a very shabby process that cannot be supported and should not be encouraged. The opposition has failed to act in good faith and failed to be part of a sensible discussion and process on this issue. They have chosen cheap, opportunistic politics over good policy process. This is the type of cynical old politics that Australians are sick of, Mr Deputy Speaker. It is very disappointing. The government is setting a new tone in politics in this country. The opposition remains locked in the old politics of the past. The opposition are following a very similar path, as we know, when it comes to issues of changing the tax system. So haphazard was the way the proposed amendments came about that there were not less than 6 proposed amendments circulated. This is not how you make policy. It's policy on the run. The government will not accept a cobbled-together, last-minute, back-of-the-envelope amendment which seeks to rewrite our tax integrity measure that had been drafted to be consistent with the G20 OECD BEPS program as part of a 2-year process. What is more concerning is that the amendment which the Senate is asking this House to consider repeals another law, the Better Targeted Income Tax Transparency Measure, which the Senate passed a mere 3 weeks ago, Mr Deputy Speaker. Suddenly a number of senators have admitted yesterday that they did not understand the bill when they voted on it. That's their right, Mr Speaker. Got it wrong and they want to vote it out. Now, this type of flip-flopping may be acceptable to the authors and supporters of these amendments, but it is not how the Turnbull government does business and sets policy. The government will not support law made on a whim. These admissions by certain senators that they got it wrong a few weeks ago provide me with no confidence that these same senators are now able to make a clear decision on this incredibly important area of law now. But I finish on this point, Mr Speaker. Mr Speaker, the government will take the time to carefully consider the issues raised in these amendments and who might be affected, the potential unintended consequences and whether there is any real substance to what is being proposed by the Senate. I will consult with the Commissioner of Taxation next week and discuss with him these new obligations to be imposed as proposed on businesses and how it might assist in any way to improve our taxation system, because at the end of the day this is what the government is interested in. I will consult with senators who are prepared to engage in good faith on this issue, which I am disappointed I have failed to do so on this occasion up until this point. This government is interested in getting the policy right, not playing politics like the opposition has done. The government is not rejecting the consideration of the issues raised in these amendments, but the appalling process that has produced these amendments, which give me no confidence as to their veracity and merit at this point. And that, Mr Deputy Speaker, is why the government will not accept these proposed amendments and the appalling manner in which they have been put forward. Mr Speaker, what we are interested in doing is considering the issues raised, but we will not endorse this shabby process sponsored